You have to listen to me even though I don't have the bag of goodies with me right now. And if you're good, I'll let you have the bag of goodies later. Sorry, the preschool side comes out sometimes. What can I say? Oh. So far this afternoon, you have heard about the non-negotiables that Jordan introduced to you at the very beginning. The 3 things that you've heard about so far are the consistent voices, dynamic teaching, and partnering with families. And so now I want to take a moment to talk about something that's not on that side of things, because those 3 things are all things that you can do in order to make Freedom Kids a more excellent experience. But now I want to talk about something that we're just as committed to, and that's what we can do for you. And I want to talk about the meaningful volunteer experience in Freedom Kids. A meaningful volunteer experience, we desire to provide a place for people to understand that Jesus can use them in the lives of others, no matter what their story is. Honoring, empowering, and encouraging every volunteer allows them to take ownership of their own ministry. I just kind of want to take a few minutes to break this down a little bit for you and help you understand a little bit better what we mean by it. You know, it's really one of the great things about the culture of freedom is that, Pastor JR is great about telling people that God can use you right where you are. And that's something that isn't just words coming out of his mouth. It's something that we practice every single week. That's why it's so incredible to see the volunteers that we do have, whether it's in kids, guest services, production. It doesn't matter where someone's volunteering. People are allowing God to use them despite their past. Now, sometimes that might resonate with you, and sometimes it might not resonate with you. I think people usually fall into 2 camps when they think about God using them. I grew up as a missionaries kid, and so I had my parents entered full-time ministry when I was going into 7th grade. So I had 2 pretty incredible examples of what it meant to serve God and what it meant to look towards someone who had done a great job using their gifts for God. I really struggled as I grew up and into adulthood. I'm not my amazing parents. What do I have that God can use? I don't have anything compared to what they have, so surely there's nothing in me that God can use. And maybe that's something that you struggle with too. You think the bar's too high. I don't have enough. Or maybe you struggle with the side of, I know what I've done in the past, and I know some of the mistakes I've made, and I've got lots of those too. Can God still use me even though I've done some dumb, stupid things in the past? I think the most incredible thing is God's not using us because of who we are. God's using us because of who he is. And that makes all the difference. That makes all the difference. If you realize that it's not about what he wants from you, it's truly what he wants for you by allowing him to use you, that will change your world. Change your world. Jordan already touched on this as well, but you don't have to be perfect to minister to kids. A lot of times we think, okay, well, when I've got all my stuff together, or when I stop yelling at my own kids, then maybe I can start, working with other kids. I haven't found the day yet when I have stopped yelling at my kids, because I'm human, and so are they. And the 2 things, they don't go well together sometimes. It makes it rough, but I don't have to be perfect to minister to kids, because here's the thing. If a child in your room only sees you acting perfect or acting right the whole time, how do they feel like they have to act? Right, they feel like they have to act perfect. Do they understand that God forgives them when they've done something wrong? Maybe not, because all they see is that they're supposed to act perfect all the time. But what if I'm in the classroom and I get a little bit short with a kid, or I make a mistake and I say something or just have an angry look on my face or something that's just not right? You know what? I can stop. I can say, you know what? Miss Heather understands that I just said something to you that was not very nice, and I'm sorry. Will you please forgive me? Guess what they've just had an example of? God's forgiveness to them. God's forgiveness to them. You don't have to be perfect to be with the kids. You just have to allow God to use you. You know, the other thing that I think is awesome about this is the kids aren't the only ones looking at you. Do you know that when you choose to let God use you, other adults see that and they go, oh, well, you know, they might know your story. They might go, oh, if God can use them, I guess God can use me too. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. That's okay. Don't matter. It doesn't matter at all. But you are inspiring other people to allow God to work through them simply by being where you are every Sunday. When they see your face at the door, when they see you down the hallway, they think, God, wait, maybe God can use me. And guess what? He can. He can. The second half of the meaningful volunteer experience is honoring, empowering, and encouraging every volunteer allows them to take ownership of their own ministry. You've probably heard that phrase before. Taking ownership of your own ministry is the backbone of it comes from one of our Freedom Way culture statements. And that's that we don't recruit you to our ministry. We want to empower you to yours. That's a little bit of what I touched on earlier when I introduced preschool worship and why we're doing that. Because we realized that we were asking people to do our ministry and not allowing them to do theirs fully because their ministry was leading worship. And so, you know, we have a long way to go in this, and we have a lot that we do well in this. And this is just something that we want to continue getting better and better at. But we know that when we honor you, we're doing what it says in Romans 12:10, and that says, love one another with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other. That means it's not, all right, have some popcorn because you like it and some cookies because I'm supposed to give you something nice. I don't really like you, but I'm going to give you something. No, take delight in it. Have fun. Have fun honoring the people around you. That's something that we strive to do from a staff level for you all. But you know what? It doesn't stop there. You all can honor each other every time that you're with each other or not with each other, whether it's uplifting each other in prayer, whether it's checking on each other through the week to see how you're doing, whether it's popping on Facebook every once in a while and just saying, hey, hope you're having a great day. Doesn't matter what it is. When you put someone else before yourself, you're honoring them. Honor is freely given, not because of who you are. So you honor somebody not because they're awesome. You honor somebody because of the potential that God placed inside of them. Sometimes that's a really hard one to grasp because we tend to want to honor people that we like. And sometimes you need to honor people that you don't like. And that's really hard, really hard. Honoring has nothing to do with whether you like the person or not. And guess what? It doesn't have anything to do with whether they deserve it or not. There's nothing to deserving honor. Honoring is you choosing to acknowledge the potential that God has placed inside somebody else. What did Maddie and Caleb just finish telling us? That kids are made, we want every kid to know that they're made in the image of God. Oh, wait a second. But when they, leave 5th grade, we don't have to remember that anymore, right? They learn they're made in the image of God, so we don't need to treat each other like we're made in the image of God. We can stop because we're adults. Ooh, probably not. Yeah. Sometimes we forget that we're made in the image of God. And I have a responsibility to treat you like you're God because you were made in his image. Sometimes during a Sunday when you're having a rough time in your room and you're really irritated with the volunteer that's standing in the corner, not really doing anything, they're made in the image of God. And God has placed within them the potential to do amazing things. And I just want to challenge you to look for that in people. We also want to honor you by giving you a place to use your God-given gifts, by collecting information about you so that we can sell it on the internet. Just kidding. Just checking to see if you're paying attention still. No, we collect that information from you, like the volunteer snapshots, because we want fun, tangible ways to honor you. We can say we love you and we honor you all day long, but sometimes I just want to give you something because you're awesome. So that's why we do it. You know, on June 27th, what's coming up? Oh, Gauntlet. What's that? Anybody know? What's Gauntlet? It sounds really scary, because when I think of Gauntlet, I think of like knives and I'm going to die if I go. No. Gauntlet is a celebration for all volunteers and their families through all of freedom. So that's coming up on the 27th. We wanted to make sure that you all knew about it, and we're going to start talking about it a whole lot in the next 2 weeks. But it's a celebration that Freedom is putting on to honor you and your families. There's going to be crazy games. We're going to feed you. We're going to have stuff for the kids to do. We are going to hang out with the best people on the planet, because that's what y'all are, is the best people on the planet. And we get to spend a whole part of a day hanging out with you. If you have not had a chance to sign up for that yet, you can see any of us, the staff members, afterwards, and we'll help you get signed up for that. But we want you and your whole family to come. And if your family can't come by yourself, because we're your family. So, that works. All right, the second part that I want to briefly talk about, as far as honoring, empowering, and encouraging you, we want to empower you. Because every week, the way that you embrace a preschooler, or the way that you engage an elementary school kid, or the way that you welcome a family, has the potential to radically change their future. Radically change their future. Can Maddie and Caleb and Jordan and I, by ourselves, effectively reach every kid that comes to Freedom? We can't. There's no way. We cannot be in all the places at once that we would need to be in order to teach all those kids. And that's why you all are here, because we want you to be doing it. It's not our ministry. It's your ministry. We want to give you the tools so that you can do the ministry that God has placed on your heart. Empowering you means setting you up for success. That's why we do these days. That's why we do Refuel Live. We want to give you more tools so that you can be set up for success in your ministry. That's why you have access to your team leads and to your coordinators and to your directors and to the staff, because we want you to know that you have access to anything that you might need so that you can succeed in your ministry. That goes two ways, too. We want you to ask us for information, but we also want you to give us information. We like feedback. Did you know that? Whenever I sit down and do a training with a new preschool volunteer, I look them in the eyes and I tell them, I want you to tell me the good things and the bad things that you see going on in the rooms. And they're kind of like, yeah, right. No, you don't. Yeah, I do. Because preschool can't get better if I don't know what needs to get better. You know, I can't be everywhere and see everything, so your feedback is huge. Some of you recently may have gotten a volunteer survey in the email. You know why we asked for those? Because we want your feedback, not because we wanted to send you an extra piece of email, because we value your input. This is your ministry. What can we do to make it better for you and where you serve? And we also give you flexibility where you serve. How many of you are serving in exactly the same place that you started when you first started volunteering? Maybe half. Maybe half of you. So that means the other half have served in more than one place. Is that true? Why? Because maybe you found God pulling you to another area. Maybe you found God gifting you towards something else. Maybe you needed a break for a while and you just needed to step back into a different position. That's what we want. We want you to have the flexibility to serve however that looks for you. It doesn't have to look the way we want it to look. I just want to leave you with one thought that from the volunteering side, I think this just sums it all up. What you do every week in kids' lives will probably change you more than it changes those kids.